So, well, let's jump a little bit to into the MMA a little bit. I know people want to hear about that, but before you go there, I know the start was a little dream of some professional wrestling. I remember at camps and
Yep, yep.
so professional wrestling was the first love, I think, and then you got into MMA. So talk about that transition, and when did you know that it was time to go to UFC, and how that all played out?
It was King Mo. King Mo started fighting right after he lost to Andy Horvat. He went and he fought in Japan and made $50,000. And I was like, what? And then he bought a Cadillac and put like ostrich seats in it with like a King Mo. Dude, King Mo's ridiculous. Like King Mo's ridiculous. Mo bought a Cadillac with ostrich skin seats and they had King Mo crowns in the seats. Now 50 grand doesn't get you that much, but he must have spent all of it on
Yeah.
but it was amazing that he had made that much money. And he just kept calling me about fighting and saying that this is something I could do. And then I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. But, in 2001, Dwayne Zinkin called me after the NCAA tournament. Dwayne's my manager. He's an All-American at Fresno State
Mm-hmm.
wrestling. And
Yep.
he
Yep.
told me, try fighting. I said, no. I said, I'm going to try to make the Olympic team. I said, but I'll call you when I'm done. And right afterwards, man, called Josh Koscheck, gave me his number. I told Dwayne I was ready to start fighting. He flew me out to California. I saw Kane training. I saw Fitch training, who wrestled at Purdue. Koss was training, Josh Thompson, who wrestled at North Idaho College. All these wrestlers were in there just kind of getting it in. I was like, man, this is crazy. And I was
Yeah.
like, I want to do it. And so I met Bob Cook there, who has become one of my best friends in the world.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it just, I was like, what, this is where I need to be. I need to be in San Jose trying to become a world champion. And I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you definitely maximize that opportunity, and I think we're all proud of you, and as people that may not necessarily follow the fight game and recognizing the transition from from wrestling. I mean, that foundation you got in wrestling made us so proud that
Mm-hmm.
you didn't forget about everybody. I know when you see in the fights, everybody tries to get those fights, everybody's watching it. So that's the most important
Mm-hmm.
thing that for the wrestling community, is that you really you brought us along with you, and that's something that's really awesome, and we're really proud of that.
I try, like whenever, before they started doing the Reebok thing, I would put USA Wrestling on my shorts
Yeah.
because I always understand that, wrestling has meant everything to me. It's given me everything. I mean,
Yeah.
without the sport, I would still be in Louisiana somewhere. I wouldn't have gone to school and gotten an education. I wouldn't have gone to fight in the UFC and had all these opportunities at Fox Sports and now ESPN and everything else. It's all because of wrestling. Wrestling
Yeah.
put me
Yeah.
in front of people. Wrestling put me, from a very young age, I was able to start doing interviews and talking to people and learning how to be confident in front of a crowd, and it's allowed me to gain just things that I never thought imaginable in my life. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, I never forgot the sport. The sport gave me the ability to train. I mean, we train harder than any people in the world. Like wrestlers train harder than MMA athletes train.
Yeah.
But it's just the best sport ever.
Yeah. And then with that, so you said you moved out there, you got with Zinkin, and you got AKA, and you know, AKA is a very special place. You guys really do a great job of sharing that. So talk about, that AKA family, and what that atmosphere is like.
I've been lucky to make choices over the course of my life that have benefited me. I went to Colby College instead of some other junior college. I went to Oklahoma State instead of another university. I went to AKA instead of going and training somewhere else. I've always been able to find the right situation for me, and it was just a brotherhood. And I also had Kane. I think when you're fighting, you need that one guy that elevates you. And I think all my teammates played that part, like from Swick and Fitch and Koscheck and, Habib and Luke Rockhold and, but it was Kane, and Luke, Kane and Luke. We were three, where we can go train with each other, we can spar with each other, we could grapple each other, we could do bikes together, we could run together, we could do everything together because he was 85, I was 205, Kane was heavyweight. It was like,
Yeah.
you need that guy to elevate you. I take this all the way back to my wrestling, right? I had, in 04, I had you on my team, 03, 04. The second, I had Mako. Like, I had guys above me that were able to elevate me to continue to be better. And I think you need that in order to get where you're trying to go. And I think that we had each other. You know, I
Yeah,
think we had
yeah,
great coaches, but we had each other, and that's why you saw, Kane, me and Luke all become UFC champions. We all
yeah,
became
yeah,
champions in the biggest organization in fighting because we had each other. But there's no place like AKA.
yeah,
AKA is the best place ever.
yeah.
It's all
Now,
family.
that's awesome, and it started with you getting out there, and then you brought a lot of Oklahoma State
Hmm.
connection out there. So is that a conscious thing? Are you focused on recruiting Okie State, or is it just how it worked out?
I think with Zinc and Entertainment, as I start to kind of look at the next part of my career, I start helping out there. Um, it's about quality, not just getting everybody. You want quality guys that fit the mold, guys that are going to work hard, guys that are going to carry themselves in the right way, guys that are going to do the right things to try to become champions. And I think that that's what Dwayne, Bob, and I identify. And the Oklahoma State guys have shown to do that. So you got Kyle Crutchmer out here, and we're getting Jacoby Smith and Nick Piccinini, Deron Wynn, and Romero Cotton. A lot of young wrestlers that are starting to make that transition. And we try to get guys that are around the same age and around the same weights to where they can hopefully become to each other what Luke, Kane, and I were. Uh, you know, to each other. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like we're hopefully they can become that same thing. Ed Ruth and
yeah,
Deron and Crutchmer, maybe they can become that thing to elevate the next one as Kane, Luke, and I were. And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that you know we continue to get quality. Not just a mass number of guys to fill a gym. And that's been good. And then you got Khabib. Khabib brings a lot of Russians over, and all those guys are working together.
yeah,
Even Khabib. Khabib has Islam Makhachev, right? Like Islam Makhachev and Habib are exactly what we were to each other,
yeah,
to each other. It's like
yeah,
it's just it's just you got to have that guy, and we're trying to put these guys in that same type of situation.